A one. Yeah, because you know what, Skip? And if you go back and look at playoff history, the Warriors has been on the wrong end. A lot of these lopsided victories. The Minneapolis Lakers beat them 1 year by 56.
We're going back to the Minneapolis Lakers.
Skip, well, the Clippers just beat them 3 years ago by 40, 138-98. So they've been on the wrong end of these. But it's only one victory. It's only one loss for the Golden State Warriors. I'm surprised. I'm really not surprised that they won the game, Skip. I'm surprised by the margin because when they came out hitting threes, I was like, they're not finna keep this up. They're not finna keep making threes like this, coming down in transition and bouncing up, raising it up and shooting threes. I said, they're not about it. Don't even worry about it. Don't overreact. Go to State, y'all might need to overact. And then J3, Jaren Jackson Jr., Skip, he shooting from 35 in Portland. That was from right there. You see that one? You got Desmond Bain. You said you wanted to see something from him. He got it going. Tyus Jones, he got it going. And then Jackson was just wiping everything, back-to-back possessions. Get this up out of here. I just, look, the energy in that building, you could feel it. And then, you know, Steph, I don't know what got in Steph. Well, when I heard that, I'm like, that's got to be a joke. Because I know Steph wouldn't say something like that because that's really not him. Draymond, if Draymond would have said what Steph said.
You were talking about before the game?
Yeah, what's our game plan is to whip that trick. If Draymond says that, Skip, I'm not even thinking, yep, that's Dre. But when they attribute it to Steph, I'm like, Steph really said that? And you could feel the energy in that building. And then at the end, yes, they're getting blown out. They're playing that song. I love Draymond. Draymond got the tower going. He right there with the hype man, had it going. But, Skip, losing is one thing. And the best part about it, Skip, you don't get two losses. If you lose by 30, you lose by 40, you don't get two. It's only one. And Golden State is still in the catbird seat in a commanding position because they're up 3-2 and they're going back home. They can't play any worse than what they played last night. Now, can Memphis replicate what they did last night? I don't believe they can replicate. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but I do believe that the Golden State Warriors close this series out the next game 4-2, and they'll wait the winner of the Mavs-Suns series. But I do believe Golden State's closing the series.
Wait a second. You said it's not going to be easy, but you said scale of 1 to 10. What shot do you give the Grizz?
Oh, winning the series? None.
No, just winning game 6.
They ain't winning game 6.
Okay.
I gave them 1. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a chance. I mean, it's smart.
Need that on the record because I know several.
On the record, they don't do vinyls anymore. You can hard drive, whatever you want to put it on. I said it.
Put it on vinyl.
Yeah, it's on there. It's on there.
And let's get a record player.
Well, take a picture of it.
Okay.
Shannon got big old 1.
Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer. The Memphis Grizzlies watch the show. Ja watches the show, and they will really appreciate that you gave them a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 shot of winning this game.
1. What part about 1 didn't you get?
I love it that you're driving the bandwagon on which the Warriors ride and which they lead this league. They lead this world in smug condescension, in showboating and front-running. And I wasn't at all surprised that Steph said that because that's Steph Curry. That's who he is.
So the real Steph coming out, huh?
That's it. That was real Steph. Yeah, we're going to whoop that trick. What's your game plan? We're going to whoop that trick.
Yeah,
that's their theme song. That's their battle cry.
Because, Skip, sometimes guys say something behind closed doors, and it's not gonna get published. It's not gonna be never catch the light of day public ears.
That is snide condescension from Steph Curry aimed at a team that they have little to no respect for. So I'm going to remind everybody, Draymond Green has said on his podcast, he went on and on yesterday on his podcast about how we're not the Minnesota Timberwolves, that we feel very comfortable against the Memphis Grizzlies because we are so much more experienced than they are, and they just don't really get it.
Right.
They don't know how to do what we know how to do.
Right.
And I'm reading Clay's responses after the game, and he said, it doesn't feel good losing by as much as we did, but in a day, it's just a loss.
Yeah.
Like one day later, it's just one loss. He said, you flush it from your mental, and you remind yourself of who you are. Well, is it who you are or who you used to be? That's the question.
You know who they are.
Are or used to be. Because I'm reading these lengthy analysis pieces, analytical pieces about the death lineup, rhapsodizing about the death lineup. He got murdered last night.
And they got a number put on him.
I want to remind everybody, Steven Jackson was on the COVID list for the first couple of games. And
Steven Adams.
I keep saying Steven Jackson. Steven Adams. And guess what? He's starting to get his feet, his legs back underneath him. And what did he do last night?
13 rebounds, 6 offensive.
He had 6 offensive rebounds, and Jaren Jackson Jr. had 3 offensive rebounds. And wait a second, Brandon Clark had 5 offensive rebounds. And you can say, well, the Warriors just weren't into it because the smugly condescending Warriors just sat back and said, you know what? If you guys want to do that, you can just have this one because we're just going to go home and we are going to take you back to school at home.
Right.
Are you sure about that? So to answer Jen's question, scale of 1 to 10 shot, I'm going to give him a real solid 5 because I keep seeing what I keep seeing. And I just saw in Game 4 at Golden State, I saw the Grizzlies without Ja Morant, without their best player, and with a Desmond Bane who needed a back brace. And I was told by one reporter behind the scenes he could barely walk before Game 4 at Golden State. That team took them right to the wire. And Steph got a call that he never should have gotten. Even you agreed that he just flopped out of bounds when Desmond Bane ran up behind him. And he put his hands up to kind of stop himself.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Steph flops out of bounds. The ball comes right to Desmond Bane, and he lays it back in for a lead. He had the lead with 29 seconds left, and they call a flop foul because it's Steph at home, and he's the beloved figure who's in every other commercial.
Right.
And the league obviously would love to see Steph advance and play CP3 and book in the conference finals.
Right.
Okay, we get all that. But last night, I'm saying, well, wait a second. Are we sure it's time to write these baby Grizz off? Because I realize Jaren Jackson Jr. is only 22 years of age, but does he not play fearlessly? And every time he goes up to shoot a 3, it doesn't look very good to me.
Yeah.
But does it go in? Well, yeah,
it's like a push
night. He made 4 of 6 threes.
Yeah.
And then how about Zaire Williams? He's 20 years old, and he's chasing Steph around picks. And you know what? He's doing okay. He's trying hard. He plays with supreme poise for a 20-year-old. And guess what? He goes out there and starts shooting threes, and he starts making them. And I told you, I've loved Tyus Jones from the start.
Yep.
And I'm going to remind everybody, with Tyus Jones as a starting point guard, no Ja Morant during the regular season, they won 20 of their first 22 games without Ja. They went 20-2 without him.
Right.
They lost the last 3, but the very last one, they didn't play any of their regulars.
Right.
So you can just dismiss that one.
Right.
But the point was, of the first 22, they won 20 games. So they have a track record of feeling fairly confident.
Well, once you start to play and you win games without a guy, you feel very comfortable that you could continue to do that. But where the Warriors lost this game is on the defensive end. You give up 38, 39, 42? Well, you're going to be so far behind unless you, and finally, Memphis won the board, the rebounding, Skip. This is where they got
to just win it. They crushed it.
This is
55 to 37.
This is where they got the advantage.
They got 18 offensive rebounds.
To 4.
Thank you.
Well, and that's the advantage, Skip. If they're going to play that small lineup with Draymond Green being your biggest guy, you should punish them on the glass. And last night, although Steven Adams is not the offensive guy, he's giving them great looks, second chances at wide open threes. And so now you should have the rebound. Here's Desmond Bane with a wide open 3. Here's Tyus Jones with a wide open 3. And everybody was knocking the threes down. They set a franchise record for 18 made threes. Do you believe they can do that again? Do you believe they're going to win the rebounding battle by plus 18 again? Those are things that worked in your favor. I don't believe that's going to happen. Okay. You're going home the next game.
Who is by far the most playoff experienced Memphis Grizzly? Well, it's Adams.
Yeah.
Well, and he's got his legs back under him after
suffering. He should. Hell, he's been out for 3 weeks.
Okay. Well, he suffered through a COVID bout. And so here he is back. And all of a sudden, I'm asking you, are you sure the Warriors have any answer for him? Because he was just dominating last night.
Well, they might instead of starting that small lineup, they might have to start with Looney. I know they kind of like going to that depth lineup, but you might need to go to it a little later because he's killing you. I mean, he's just too. I mean, he's like Draymond is like his son. I mean, when he gets down there, you can barely see Draymond. That's a big man. That's a big ass man, Skip.
He is.
And you see Skip, when you see when he and Draymond got tangled up and they went to the floor, you see Draymond pop up and walk to the corner. Now, if that was anybody else, Draymond would have stepped to him. Draymond popped up, went round to the corner. I don't want none of that.
He's a big man, and trust me, he's a bad man. When he wants to be, he is their enforcer.
Yeah.
And he's a skilled, huge man.
Yes.
So when you have that combination and you have the playoff experience he does, he's a load for them to deal with. And that set the tone last night. They just couldn't deal with him. And that initiated everything that happened after that. And finally, I got to give the Grizzlies medical staff high marks because they wrought a miracle last night because somehow they undid Desmond Bane's back. They got it loose. They unhinged it. Whatever was hinged was unhinged because all of a sudden he was moving and grooving and shooting, releasing like the guy who scored 24 a game in the Minnesota series. So you got some problems. If he's going to make 4 or 5 threes, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because they almost won Game 4 at Golden State without Desmond Bane.
Hey, Skip, look. I mean, when you give up what they gave up, they had let 3 guys have 21. They had like 8. They had 7 guys in double figures. They had 2 guys with 9. So basically everybody, with the exception of 1 guy, didn't score. They should have let him score, get him a layup or something. But look, I do not believe Memphis can play as well, can shoot the ball as well as they shot the ball last night. You believe they can?
Absolutely, because they're fearless. They don't care.
I don't believe Golden State will play as bad as they played. You happen to believe they will. I don't. And so with that being said, you going home in 6.
Okay, you're probably right. But I just need you to pile on and drive it home that you're giving them a 1.
I gave him a 1.
I need Draymond to talk today. I need him to trash talk and say they have no shot because they don't understand. That's what I need them to say. Because I also saw a quote from Desmond Bane last night after the game. He said, you know, ever since I've been here, it almost seems like whenever somebody thinks we can't do something, we end up doing it.
Right.
That is the truth about the Memphis Grizzlies. That's why I've liked them all year long. You look at it and you say, well, they can't do that.
Right.
And now, I don't know, there's a stat out there that the winners of Game 5s have won 82% of the series.
Yeah, but
unfortunately, it's when you're not behind.
Right. It's normally when you 2-2 and win a Game 5. So now all of a sudden it's a 3-2 as opposed to you 3-2 still being down.
Yep. Okay. I need Draymond to chest beat today. I need him to gloat today. I need him to talk about we're going to teach them a lesson because that's what's going to transpire. I need Memphis to go in angry tomorrow night, Friday night, right, tomorrow night, and we'll see what lessons get taught tomorrow night because wouldn't it be something if it went back to a Game 7? Wouldn't it be something?
It ain't going to be nothing because they ain't going back. They'll go back next year. Did anybody leave something in the hotel? The hotel can send it to them. They won't be going back to Memphis.
And I'm going to remind everybody, this very young baby Grizzly team did go up there in the play-in game a year ago. And again, there was no Clay, but there was a Steph, and there was a Draymond, and there was a Jordan Poole. And they won it in overtime with Ja, obviously.
Okay.
And last night, Dylan Brooks sort of found a little offensive game to go along with the defense. So are you sure about this?
Well, this is what you have to do. You have to put them in a situation where they have to execute down the stretch. Well, there's really no execution. Guys are just coming up, walking into threes. Now, I want to put them in a situation, in clutch situation. Last 5 minutes, game within 5. Now, who are they going to put the ball? You said that would normally be Ja. The ball was in Jaren Jackson's hand 3 times in a row. So whose hands are you going to put the ball in? We know Steph or Clay, Draymond's going to have the ball, and he's looking to find one of those shooters. So we know how it's going to play out with the Golden State Warriors if they get in that situation. Memphis get in that situation, what you going to do?
Well, I assume you're going to get Steve Kerr back at some point off the COVID list. Maybe it'll be for this game. And I'm sure he will try to instill in them a little bit of what Pop called appropriate fear. Yeah. And obviously, Steve Kerr is a chip off the Pop block. And yet, I'm not sure he's going to be able to inspire appropriate fear because I think Golden State has no fear of this team, but I think the Golden State coaching staff has huge fear of this team. Will they be able to instill it in the Warriors? I don't think so because the Warriors are like, we got this. We're the Warriors. We're at home.
They do.
Yeah.
One. You want some do on it?
Nope, I'm not going to do it.
Whatever, you got 5?
They're 8.5-point favorites.
Well, why you over there bumping your gums like you are if you don't want to bet no do?
Well, I'll take 8.5.
No, you gonna take no. I got confidence. I'm gonna go 5.
Well, 5 is not a 10.
Well, I went 1.
If I said 10, then I would.
I went 1.
Okay.
So
well,
bet to do.
I'll take 8.5 right
No,
now.
you won't.
That's what this point spread is.
You ain't Vegas.
That's what Vegas says. 8.5.
You not Vegas. You skip.
Because you have appropriate fear of the Grizzlies. You won't admit it publicly, but you got fear.
I need to call the DA.
Yeah.
You run a gambling house. Yeah, play. You want to talk about? Yeah, we talk about you bet.
Well, I tell you what,
you receiving
gentlemen.
bets over there?
8.5.
I don't know if
Nope.
I'll take it right now.
No, you won't.
I don't know if the Grizz are going to cover, but if they keep moving the ball like they did last night, 37 assists,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.